Hello everyone. Uh, in today's video, I will make an attempt to explain what are the steps involved in finding out the space distribution of field winding MMF of a DC machine. So basically, we want to know or we want to study the nature of space variation of field winding MMF for a DC machine. So for that purpose, what I would like to tell is that in my previous video lecture, I had tried to explain the steps needed to which are involved in the space MMF distribution of armature winding. So today I will like to attempt the same for field winding MMF. We want to know what is the space distribution of field winding MMF. So for that I have taken a 2-pole DC machine. Again I would like to say the same thing, that why I have not taken 4-pole or 6-pole or 8-pole, why I have taken only 2-pole DC machine. This is because you don't have to be confused, or rather there is no confusion between electrical degree and mechanical degree. All of us know that theta electrical is given by P by 2 multiplied by theta mechanical, where theta mechanical is the mechanical degree. Mechanical degree means which we can see with our bare eyes, and P is the number of poles. So theta electrical equals P by 2 theta mechanical. So I am taking number of poles too, so that they are same. Electrical degree and mechanical degree are same. So this is a cross sectional view of a 2-pole DC machine. As you can, as you will be knowing, this is the armature core. These are armature slots. This is your field pole, and these are your field coils of field windings. Now, while plotting this field flux, this is your field flux. These lines of flux are field flux, but let me tell you, this field flux has been plotted assuming armature current is 0. That means at no load. So what I want to make again repeat is that these field lines of flux are plotted assuming at no load condition, means that armature current is 0. You know that in a DC machine armature current means the load current, because if you change the loading on the machine, then armature current is going to change. That's why we call armature current is the load current. So we are plotting these lines of flux assuming armature current is 0. Over here I have plotted the armature flux. This is the plot of armature magnetic flux due to armature current. This is called as magnetic flux due to armature current only. Due to armature current. So why I am showing the magnetic flux plot for field current and magnetic flux plot for armature current? Just to again repeat the thing, that is we need to take the developed view in order to study or find the space distribution of field winding MMF, or even if you want to study the space distribution of armature winding MMF, in that case also you have to take the developed view. So what is the meaning of developed view? Developed view means we imagine that the DC machine is being cut at a particular point, and after making the cut we are stretching it and making it flat. For example, for this 2-pole DC machine, this is a cross sectional view. So you will agree that this axis is the field axis, and this axis is the armature axis, because you see magnetic lines of flux due to armature current are directed along this direction. So this is your armature magnetic axis, and this is your field MMF axis or field winding axis. So let me write. So what is this one? This is my field winding axis, and this one is your armature winding axis or armature magnetic axis. So this is armature magnetic axis and this is field winding axis. So you will find that along this axis, please look, if you will find that along this axis, which we are calling as field winding axis, or you can call this to be your MMF axis of field winding. This axis, you will find that it is, if you measure the air gap length, along this axis, you will find it is very small. It's a minimum. So we call this axis our polar axis. So what is polar axis? Polar axis is that axis along which air gap is minimum. So this is my polar axis. Along this air gap is minimum. Along this axis air gap is minimum. This is a polar axis. So you see, polar axis is passing through the middle of the field poles. Polar axis is passing through the middle of the field poles. Along this axis, you can clearly see, along this axis, let me point it out. Along this axis, you can see air gap is maximum. So this axis is known as interpolar axis. This is known as interpolar axis. So this axis is your please remember these terms, because while explaining this terminology will be used. So please make yourself acquainted and well familiar with these terms. So you see, along this axis air gap is maximum. So this is termed as interpolar axis. It is also sometimes known as geometric neutral axis. That is GNA. So along this axis air gap is maximum. This is interpolar axis. So what do you find? That armature magnetic lines of flux are directed along this axis, that is along the interpolar axis, this one. Whereas field axis or the polar axis, along the polar axis, what do you find? That magnetic lines of flux due to field winding, are directed along the polar axis, like this one. So this is the your field winding axis or polar axis. Along this field flux are directed, and along this you see the air gap is also a minimum. Now I need to tell you that where we should make the cut on the DC machine so as to take the developed view, because we need to take the developed view of DC machine so as to find the space distribution of MMF variation. So in my earlier video lecture, I have already completed the explanation of space distribution of armature MMF of a DC machine. Now in this video lecture, I will take upon the space distribution of field MMF in a DC machine. So in order to find the space distribution of field MMF in a DC machine, we need to take the developed view. That means we need to cut at some point along the machine, from where we will stretch it and make it flat. So what point we need to notice? We need to notice that we should make a cut along that portion from where no field flux is either leaving or entering. So where should we make the cut? We should make the cut at a point where no field flux is either leaving or entering. So you please focus on the flux distribution. What do you find from the flux distribution? That lines of flux are leaving this north pole, crossing the air gap, entering the armature core, again crossing the air gap, again entering the south pole, and from south it is returning to north through this yoke portion. From here also, from south it is returning to the north pole through this yoke portion. This part is known as yoke, this part is known as yoke. So what do you find? That lines of flux will, in general, the lines of flux will leave the north pole face, that means this one, and it will cross the air gap and enter the armature core. Again it will leave the armature core and cross the air gap and enter the south pole face, that means this one. So if you go on plotting the lines of flux corresponding to the field winding current, you will find that lines of flux will be like this. It will be like this. So if you go on plotting, you will find that at which part of this diagram no field lines of flux will be leaving and entering, that is this part. So at this portion you will find that almost no field lines of flux are either leaving or entering. The same thing goes from here. at this part, please look at carefully at this portion, you will find that no lines of flux, I mean to say no magnetic lines of flux due to field current. At this part, no magnetic lines of flux due to field current is either going to leave or enter. The same thing goes for this portion. This portion also you will find that no magnetic lines of flux due to field winding current is either leaving or entering. So we will make a cut at this point. We will make a cut at this point and then we will stretch it. Let's say I am making a cut at this point. Here we have indicated brush B. Here we have indicated the brush B. So let's say I am making a cut on this brush B over here at this point. And then what I am doing, I am holding this portion, this pole tip Y with my left hand, and I am holding this pole tip X with my right hand, and then I am making it stretch like this. That means right hand will move from this position to that position. So pole tip X will move from this position to that position. So what you will have here, you will have pole tip Y, then pole tip Y dash, then pole tip X dash, and then pole tip X. Let me tell me once more. What I am doing, I am making a cut at this part of the armature. What is this part? Here we are having the brush B belonging. Here we are having the brush B dash belonging. So I am making a cut mark at brush B, and I am holding this portion of the pole tip named as Y with my left hand, and holding the pole tip X with my right hand. What I am doing, I am taking my right hand from this position to this position. So it will stretch and it will flatten up. So that will be my developed view. So what I am doing, I am holding this portion with my left hand. This portion, that is pole tip X. Pole tip X I am holding with my right hand. Pole tip Y with my left hand. I am keeping left hand here and I am moving the right hand from this position to that position. So a developed view will be developed, and that developed view will find that pole tip Y is here, Y dash is here, X dash is here, and X is here. Okay. So that thing I am going to do. Now before I tell or move further, let me recollect you. I believe you have remembered that this pole tip X, Y, X dash, Y dash, they can be named as what? Either leading pole tip or trailing pole tip. But this leading pole tip and trailing pole tip, this terminology depends on whether you have taken a generating action or motoring action. So let's assume that we have taken generating action. So if this is generating action, so this will be cross and this will be dot, because lines of flux are in this direction. So B vector is in this direction, magnetic flux density vector B is here. For this conductor, where is the peripheral velocity? For this conductor, the peripheral or tangential velocity directed upwards. So this is my V. So you apply Fleming's right hand rule, you will find that conductors under the north pole will have cross induced EMF, and conductors under the south pole will have dot induced EMF. So you, by applying Fleming's right hand rule, you align the thumb along V, you align the index finger along magnetic flux density B. The middle finger will give you the direction of magnetic, the middle finger will give you the induced EMF polarity in the armature conductors. So this is my B. So for these conductors which are falling under north pole, the polarity is cross, and for these conductors falling under south pole, the polarity will be dot. This you can verify by Fleming's right hand rule. Now what I am saying is that how to name these pole tips, Y, Y dash, X, X dash. You move from brush B to B dash. But when you are moving from brush B to B dash, make sure you are maintaining the direction of rotation of the armature. What is the direction of rotation of the armature? Assume we are assuming that prime mover is driving the armature in clockwise direction. What we are assuming? We are assuming that prime mover. We are assuming that prime mover is driving the armature in clockwise direction. So you move in the clockwise direction because armature is moving in the clockwise direction. We are assuming that prime mover is moving the armature in clockwise direction. So you move from brush B to B dash. So this pole tip is coming first. So this will be termed as leading pole tip. And this pole tip is coming later on. That is Y dash is coming later on. When you move from brush B to B dash, Y pole tip Y, pole tip named Y is coming first. So this is my leading pole tip. Pole tip named as Y dash is coming later on. So this is trailing pole tip. Again you move from brush B dash to B. Again you move from brush B dash to B, but maintaining the direction of rotation. What is the direction of rotation of the armature? The direction of rotation of the armature is clockwise. So you move in clockwise direction from B dash to B. Who is coming first? Pole tip X dash is coming first. So this is leading pole tip and pole tip X is coming later on. So this is trailing pole tip. So by this you can figure out which pole tip is leading pole tip and which pole tip is trailing pole tip. Over here, which are the leading pole tips? Pole tip Y is leading pole tip and pole tip X dash is also leading pole tip. Whereas pole tip X is trailing pole tip and pole tip Y dash is also trailing pole tip. Okay. So I am calling or I am reminiscing you these things again so that you have a ready reference when I am going to explain in the later part. Now, what else I would like to tell is that you just look here. This is my field pole and these are the field coils. So you see how many turns has been provided here. Let's say this is my field pole. So I am taking the winding from this point. Now what I want to say is that let us first also make an understanding regarding this number of conductors which can be present on the two sides of a field pole. This is our field pole and this is the pole body or pole core. You just make a comparison. Let's assume that this is our field pole. So see, this structure you correlate with this structure. So when I am correlating this structure with this, let's say field winding is first placed from this side and it is moved over this side. So how many turns have been made? 1 turn. Let me repeat once more what I am doing. I am taking a coil. I am starting the coil to wound over this field pole from this side, from behind, and moving it like this. The winding or the coil is moved like this, the direction along which my finger is moving. So when I am coming up to this point, I have started from here, and when I am coming to this point again, I have made 1 turn. Again I will start from here, move from behind, move to this side, I will come to this point. So how many turns I have made? 2 turns. So you see here, if I make 2 number of turns, so how I have made? I am starting from here and moving it here, 1 turn. Then I am starting from here, from behind I am moving to the front, I am moved to this point. So this is my second turn. So if I am making 2 number of turns, then what I can find that there are 2 conductors on this side of the field pole and also there are 2 conductors on this side of the field pole, right? What I am saying, I am making a coil, moving from behind, going to this front. So I have made 1 turn. So in that case, what is the conductor on this side? 1 conductor here and 1 conductor here. When again I am starting my second turn, so I am moving from behind, coming to the front, and I am coming to the point from where I have started. So now how many conductors I have placed? 2 conductors on this side of the field pole and 2 conductors on this side. So going by this analogy, if you are making enough number of field turns, in that case what will you find? You will find that there are enough number of conductors on this side and enough number of conductors on this side. So this should be remembered, please. What I am saying, that if field winding turns, if NF equals to field number of field turns, if NF is equal to number of field turns or field winding turns, if NF equals to number of field winding turns, in that case we will have enough number of conductors on this side. So how many conductors will be there on this side of the field pole? NF. Likewise on this side also, how many conductors will be there? NF. You can take in this example, if I am making 2 turns, then 2 conductors on this side of the field pole and 2 conductors on this side of the field pole. So if IF is the field winding current carried, then IF current is flowing to this side also and this side also. So I believe this has been cleared, that if the field winding has got enough number of turns, in that case there will be enough number of conductors on this side and enough number of conductors on this side as well. Now it is needless to say that number of turns on the north pole and number of turns on the south pole, they have to be made equal, because we want that the strength of the north pole magnet and south pole magnet, they should be equal. So if NF is the number of turns in this north pole, so likewise in the south pole also the number of turns will be NF. here also NF, here also NF. Okay. Now what has to be done regarding the connection? The field coils on this pole and field coils on these poles, they need to be connected in series. Why? Because if they are connected in series, then we are making sure that the current which is flowing through the field coils of this north pole, the same current is also flowing through the field coils of this south pole. So you are making the field coils of this north pole and field coils of this south pole connected in series. When you connect them in series, you make sure that the same field current is passing through the field coils of north pole and as well as the field coils of the south pole. So current carried is same. We have kept the number of turns NF to be also same. So that means what? MMF developed by this north pole and MMF developed by south pole, they will be equal in magnitude. Please remember, I have said equal in magnitude. Why I am saying this word equal in magnitude? Because if for north pole MMF is positive, then for south pole MMF should be negative. But the magnitude has to be equal. Okay. So this has to be kept in mind that NF into IF will be the field MMF of north pole, and likewise NF into IF will be the field MMF of south pole also. So NF IF is the MMF of south pole, likewise NF IF is also the MMF of north pole. Okay. Now just to keep a uniformity or parity in my video lectures, I would like to take up the same convention which I have taken earlier while explaining the armature MMF distribution. If you go to the video lecture of my armature MMF distribution, you will find that I have taken cross current to be positive and dot current to be negative. So while plotting the space variation of field winding MMF, I will stick to the same sign convention which I have taken earlier while plotting the space distribution of armature MMF. That means I will take cross current as positive and dot current as negative. So we will take that convention, and I believe you have already figured out this cross and dot. Cross dot has to be there. If you want this to be north pole, this conductor has to be cross, and if you want this to be north pole, this has to be dot. That means current is entering through the board and it's coming out. So that means this is cross and this is dot. So thumb is pointing away. That means lines of flux is leaving this pole face. So that means it will be north pole, because from north pole, what do you find? That lines of flux are leaving the pole face. So this is cross and dot. Now you see here, if you just simply count manually, if you count, what is the number of turns in this coil? This is 1 turn, 2, 3, 4. But how many layers are there? This is first layer, this is second layer. So you can count and you find that this field pole I am showing 8 number of turns. How many turns? 8. How it's 8? You see here, first turn will start from here and come over here like this. First turn will start from here, come over here. This is first turn. This is second turn, third turn, fourth turn. But this is your layer number 1. What about this? This turn will continue. So this will correspond to another turn. This and this will contribute to another turn. This and this will contribute to another turn. So that's why you see that there are 4 turns in this first layer and there are another 4 turns in this second layer. So that means this coil has got how many turns? 8 turns. So if NF is 8, so in my first layer, what is the number of turns? NF by 2. In my second layer, what is the number of turns? Another NF by 2. What about the number of conductors? What is the number of conductors here? 1, 2, 3, 4. That means NF by 2. Over here, what is the number of conductors in the second layer? Only second layer. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means another NF by 2. Isn't it? So please do take care of this explanation. While we draw the developed view, this thing will come into use. That if total number of turns is NF, and let's say here I am showing 2 layers. This is layer number 1 and this is layer number 2. So in these 2 layers you are accommodating how many turns? NF turns. So in first layer, what is the number of turns? NF by 2. In second layer, what is the turns? Another NF by 2. So net turn is NF. Okay. So now let's take the developed view. From where we should take the developed view? From the point, from that point or that portion where no field flux is either leaving or entering. No field flux, not armature flux. What I am saying? No field flux should leave or enter. So what is that? One is along the brush B. At this point, at brush B, you won't find any field flux to either leave or enter, and neither you will find any lines of flux corresponding to field winding current to leave or enter along this brush B dash. So we will take a developed view along brush B. Let's say, so I am holding this pole tip Y, which is your leading pole tip, with my left hand, and I am holding pole tip X, which is my trailing pole tip. So trailing pole tip X is being held by with my right hand, and leading pole tip Y is being held with my left hand. So left hand is here only, right hand is moving from this point to this point. So I take a developed view. Okay. So let's draw the developed view, and then we will again proceed the next explanation. Okay. Okay. So what I was saying, that we have to take the developed view of the DC machine in order to find the nature of space distribution of field winding MMF of a DC machine. So we had taken 2-pole DC machine and we have taken the developed view. What we have done, we have imagined that the DC machine is being cut at brush B, and then the brush B and pole tip Y were held by our left hand. This is my left hand, and the right hand was holding pole tip X here, and it was stretching it and laying it flat like this. So this is the developed view for that DC machine which I was talking earlier. Now before we start upon the process of this, in order to plot the MMF variation, I would like to state some of the assumptions which I have made. First is that if a conductor is carrying cross current, then that will be taken as positive, and if a conductor is carrying dot current, then that will be taken as negative. This is in accordance with our earlier assumption which I have taken while plotting the armature MMF variation. When I have plotted the armature MMF variation of DC machine, at that time I have taken up this convention that cross current enclosed is a positive and dot current enclosed is negative. What is another assumption which I have made? I have assumed that IA, that is armature current, is 0. So you see, in the armature slot I have shown the armature conductors, but dot cross has not been indicated in the armature conductors because I am plotting this at no load condition. That means when armature current is 0. So you won't find any dot or cross in the armature conductors. Okay. So there is no dot cross in the armature conductors. This is at no load condition. Okay. Now what has to be done? Another assumption which I have made is that we have neglect the slot opening. You see here, look carefully. What happens? Along this portion the air gap is slightly less, but along this portion air gap is slightly higher. Why? Because here you have teeth or tooth. So along the tooth portion, air gap is slightly less, and along the slot portion, this is slot, na? This thing is slot, this is slot. So this is slot. So along slot portion air gap is slightly higher compared to the air gap along tooth portion. So this is the effect of slot opening. So I have ignored the effect of slot opening. This is also one of the assumption I have made. I have assumed that slot opening is not present, or I have neglected the slot opening. Now what we have to do? We have to apply Ampere's circuital law. It states that MMF acting along a closed path will be given by current which has been enclosed by that closed path. So let's take some closed path. Let me take some closed path. What should I say? Let's take this one. So this is our path number 1. So this is path number 1. And what about path number 2? Let's say this is our path number 2. This one. So this is my path number 2, and this is my path number 1. This is my path number 1. So along path number 1, how how much is the current enclosed? First you count the number of conductors. So please recollect that sometime earlier only I have said that if NF is the total number of field winding turns, in that case NF number of conductors, let's say if this is our field wind, if this is our field pole, so if this is our field pole and I am placing NF number of turns on this field pole, then NF number of conductors will be present on this side and also NF number of conductors will be present on this side. So keep that thing in mind. So if NF is the number of field winding turns, then NF number of conductors is placed on this side of the pole. Likewise, NF number of conductors is placed on this side of the pole. And as we want to keep the strength of north and south pole equal, so if south pole is having NF number of turns, north pole should also have NF number of turns. So in north pole also there are NF number of turns. NF number of turns, if this is my field pole and I am placing this NF number of turns over here, in that case NF number of conductors will be present here as well as NF number of conductors will be present here. So here also you will have NF number of conductors on this side and NF number of conductors on this side. In my diagram I have shown there are two layers. It need not be two layer. In an actual or practical machine you may find that there are more than two layers or 5 to 6 layers may be there. It depends on the design of the field pole, how many layers will be there, but here I have indicated that I have two layers. Two layers means that this conductors which has been enclosed by path number 1 will have NF by 2 conductors, and the path which is named as 2, will enclose NF number of conductors, because path number 2 is enclosing both the layers of conductors. So that's why it will be NF by 2 plus NF by 2, that is NF. So here I have taken two layers, but it may not be two layer, it may be more than two layer, it depends on the design. So what is the meaning of two layers? Two layers means that, let's say I am started to place the windings over the field pole like this. You take this duster to be your field pole. You can also find there is some resemblance, there is some similarity between the field pole structure and this structure. So you are placing the field windings along this part. So let's say after making 4 number of turns, this entire length has been covered. So after making 4 number of turns, this entire length has been covered. But you have to place say 8 number of turns. So what you will do? You start from top, and when you are wounding the windings, so after making 4 turns you have come to the bottom. So again you start from bottom and move to the top. So another 4 turns will be there. So there will be total of 8 turns. But in doing so there will be two layers. One layer is starting from top to the bottom having 4 turns. Second layer is starting from bottom and moving to the top having another 4 layers. So there are 8 turns. This I have just taken an example. So that thing you can just correlate here. That here we have got 2 layers of winding. But let me again make it clear that in an actual machine you may not expect only 2 layers or rather 8 turns. It's highly impractical. That main field pole, these are your main field pole. Interpoles can have 8 turns. Interpoles can have 8 turns, but these are not interpoles. These are main field pole. These are main field pole. So in main field pole you cannot expect 8 turns. Maybe 100 turns or 200 turns. It depends on the design. But just for the purpose of explanation, I have taken up this particular number so that we are able to figure out or understand. But in actual practice, you won't find 8 turns. Anyway, I am also not saying 8 turns here. Rather, I am saying NF number of turns, where NF is the field winding turns. So, please look in path number 1, NF by 2 is the number of conductors. And what is the field current? IF. So, how much current is enclosed? Number of conductors, that is NF by 2 multiplied by current carried by each conductor, which is IF. So NF IF by 2 is the current enclosed by this path number 1. And in path number 2, the current enclosed is what? How many conductors are enclosed by path number 2? In path number 2, the number of conductors enclosed is NF and current carried by each conductor is IF. So it is NF into IF. So in path number 2, current enclosed is NF into IF. But in path number 1, it is NF into IF by 2. Since The number of conductors enclosed is NF by 2. But please recall our convention. Cross current is taken as positive, whereas dot current is taken as negative. So that's why you will have negative. Now here, what will be the MMF? NF into IF by 2. So how much is this? This is NF into IF by 2. This part, this portion. Okay, this is NF into IF by 2. Of course, there will be a minus sign because dot current is minus. What about path number 2? In path number 2, current enclosed is NFIF. So you will have another NFIF. So this thing is your another NFIF by 2. So this is also same NFIF by 2. Okay. So this is your NFIF by 2. Of course with a minus sign, because dot current is minus. Now you take path number 3. What is path number 3? Path number 3, let's say, is this one. In path number 3, the current enclosed is same, it's not changing. NF into IF, NF into IF, okay? NF into IF. Likewise, in path number 4 also you will find same thing, same conductors, NF into IF. So that's why up to this point it will be NF into IF. It will be NF into IF. This one. So this is how much? This is minus NF into IF. Okay. This thing. Now, if I take another path, let me take up this path. Let me erase this one. I have already used this number 3, so I will not say 3 anymore. Let's say I am taking this path. Let's say this is our path number 4. So in path number 4, what do you see? That you are enclosing both dot current as well as cross current. But going by our logic, this cross current is how many conductors? NF by 2. Because total number of conductors is NF and it is having 2 layers. So that means in one layer you will have half of the conductors, that is NF by 2. So you have NF by 2 conductors having cross current and NF conductors having dot current. Which path? Path number 4. What is path number 4? Path number 4 is starting from here. It is moving like this along this marker pen. So this is our path number 4. So in path number 4, what is happening? Cross current is NF by 2, whereas dot current is NF. So what is the net current? Dot is negative, cross is positive. So net current is minus NF by 2. So that means along this point, along this dotted line, current enclosed is minus NF IF by 2. So MMF will be like this, minus NF IF by 2. Okay. Now you take another path, path number 5. So path number 5 may be like this one, this green one. So this is my path number 5. So what do you find in path number 5? That cross current is also NF, dot current is also NF. But dot current is taken as negative, cross current is taken as positive. So net current enclosed is 0. So MMF acting at this point should be 0. So you will find that it has changed to this. Okay. So this is the MMF variation under the south pole. Okay. Now what about the north pole? You again use the same logic, na? You take another path, path number 6. So if you take path number 6 like this, let me show. Let's say you are taking path number 6 like this. This is path number 6. So what do you see? NF is cross. This is NF by 2. So 3 by 2 NF is cross and dot is NF. So what is the net? Dot is negative, cross is positive. But what is the number of conductors having cross current? Here you have NF conductors. Here you have NF conductors. And in this layer you have NF by 2. So total is what? 3 by 2 NF. So 3 by 2 NF conductors is cross, whereas NF is dot. So net current is NF by 2, which is cross. Cross means positive. So you will expect that MMF is positive over here, like this. In this portion it will be 0. Okay. Be indicated by this green line. Here it's 0. Here is also it is 0, because no current is enclosed. If you take this path, if you take this path, please focus here. If you take this path, no current is enclosed, so MMF is 0. So here you have MMF 0. Okay. Here also if you take this path, no current is enclosed, so 0. Or even if you take this path, here also net current enclosed is 0, because if you take this path, follow this pen. If you take this path, then dot and cross they are cancelling, so net current enclosed is 0. So here MMF is 0. But here, what is the net conductors? Cross current, here NF conductors, here NF by 2. So 3 by 2 NF, but here dot is NF. So net is NF by 2. So it is NF IF by 2. Now you take another path, you will find 4 layers. That means 2 NF is cross and NF is dot. So 2 NF minus NF is NF. So you find here again MMF is rising. So you apply the same logic. By applying that same logic, you will be able to figure out that MMF under this north pole will be like this. Okay. Isn't it? So this green line actually represents the MMF variation, field MMF variation, or you can say space distribution of field MMF winding for a DC machine, of course, for a DC machine. So this green line shows the space variation or space distribution of field winding MMF in a DC machine. Now we need to do some simplification. Okay, what sort of simplification I am talking about? I am talking about a simplification. Please note that the thickness of this layer of conductor will be much narrow compared to the width of this pole. So what I am saying, thickness of these layers of field conductors or thickness of these field winding conductors is narrow or thin compared to the width of this field pole. So this step variation can be approximated by a smooth linearly rising variation like this one. What I am saying, it can be varied like this one. This red marking you follow. So we can approximate this step variation by this smooth or linearly rising variation. So MMF variation along the field poles is like this. However, in some textbook or in some of the textbook, you will find that even this linearly rising variation is approximated by a step variation. So what I am saying about step variation is like this. That means instead of showing like this along the pole tip, they will indicate like this. They will indicate simply like this. So follow this line, this black line. Along this black line, you will find that field MMF variation is shown by a step variation. Is being shown by a step variation like this one. Okay. So in some of the textbook you will find that field MMF variation is shown by a step variation. Follow this marker pen line. It is like this. It is shown like this. Along the pole tip it rises. And again it falls at the pole tip. Again here also it rises along the pole tip. Which pole tip? Here pole tip x dash, and it is constant, and then again it falls at pole tip x. So this is also some sort of approximation that you can represent the field MMF variation like a step rise. Step rise where one step rise is taking place at pole tip y, another step fall is taking at pole tip y dash. So at pole tip y dash you see MMF is falling to 0, and at pole tip y MMF is rising to minus NFIF. So at pole tip y what happens? MMF rises to value minus NFIF, and at pole tip y dash what happens? MMF falls to 0 value from minus NFIF. Likewise at pole tip x dash what happens? MMF rises from 0 to what value? NFIF, and at pole tip x MMF falls from value NFIF to 0. So this portion is NFIF. If we write it over here, this is your NFIF. This entire thing is NFIF. Okay. This is minus NFIF. So you see under the north pole, MMF is MMF is shown to be positive, and under south pole MMF is shown to be negative. So actual variation was this green one, this step variation. Okay, this step variation was the actual variation, but this actual variation is sometimes approximated by this step variation, and the step is shown to be taking place at the pole tip. You may also approximate this by a trapezoidal variation, but that is also done sometimes. You can approximate this by a trapezoidal variation like this one. You are trying to smoothen out this step rise by a trapezoidal. Okay, more or less they are the same thing. So you can take this thing that it is rising in a step where at the pole tip, and again falling at the pole tip, again rising at the pole tip, again falling at the pole tip. So this is the field MMF variation for DC machine. I mean to say the space distribution. This axis is of course the space angle theta, which I have defined in my earlier video. You can take some reference point, and that reference point will be your theta equal to 0. And of course I have not indicated here, but I should indicate that what's the direction of motion. Direction of motion is this one. This is the direction of motion. If you recollect in that earlier diagram, if you follow the direction of motion, then you are moving from pole tip y to y dash. So I am moving from pole tip y to y dash. I am moving from pole tip x dash to x. So this is the direction of motion, and it was taken as to be generating action. Okay. So this is the field MMF variation. So now let it be up to this point, that field MMF variation, and I would like to then bring out some explanation which will be involving both field MMF variation as well as armature MMF variation. So in that video I will try to find out, I will try to superpose the field MMF variation and armature MMF variation. Okay, thank you.